Welcome back. We're continuing our month. I'm calling it officially now. This is Crystal Chronicles month, where we are running towards the end of the Crystal Chronicles Final Fantasy series simply because they were released that way. In about a whole year's worth of time, these final Crystal Chronicles games were just thrown at fans. I don't know why, but that is how it happened. Last week, we discovered My Life as a King, the Lost to Time WiiWare title, and this week we are talking about Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Echoes of Time. This game might look a little familiar. It is developed by the team who did Ring of Fates, the first sequel of the Crystal Chronicles series, the DS game that was very surprising in how it boosted the gameplay of the original and told a crazy, wacky sci-fi story. When I learned that this was an official sequel to that game, I was very hyped. But this didn't just release on the DS. It also came out on Wii. Why? Because, well, Crystal Chronicles games originally were supposed to be about multiplayer. The first game is all couch co-op. Ring of Fates could connect between DSs, but this game tried to go a step farther and do cross-play. If you own this game on Wii, if you own it on DS, you guys can play together online. The first in this series to work online. I thought that was cool, and I thought, well, let's play the Wii version, change it up a little bit. I already played Ring of Fates on DS, so what's this gonna be like on Wii? Is it gonna be different? Is it gonna be better? Are they gonna change it up? Is it just gonna be a bigger screen? I mean, that's nice, I'll take that. Ooh, that was the wrong choice. This game is a DS game, period. They just ported it to Wii, and it plays badly because they didn't do any improvements to make it work on Wii. It is a DS game. Yes, they squashed two screens together on one TV screen, didn't do anything to the game, mapped controls to a Wii remote somehow. The touchscreen is just, you're supposed to point and click on it if you want, but you don't have to. You can press like the D-pad to select things. It's awkward, and it's kind of bad. And I also didn't get it on Wii. I played on Dolphin again. It's clearly not meant to be played on Wii, and I'm playing on a mouse and keyboard, emulating a Wii, emulating a DS. I played this game the worst way you can play it. Starting off on a good note, huh? Well, I could berate them for sloppily throwing together the Wii version of this game. I could yell at them for not even like when there's cutscenes, just having the one screen present. No, when there's cutscenes, you have to watch it on the small tiny block with a black box that is on the DS version is the touchscreen, which doesn't do anything during cutscenes. They could have just inflated the whole thing just for the cutscenes. Didn't do that. But let's blame this one on me. I shouldn't have played it on Wii. I should have known better. Should have done my research. I'm not going to hold it against this game that it doesn't play well on Wii. Honestly, when I mapped my own controls on the keyboard and mouse, it wasn't even that bad. It's just that it's a super small screen within a screen, and it's dumb. And there's not much else needed to introduce this game. Yes, it is a sequel to Ring of Fates. It doesn't actually, unfortunately, have anything to do with that game, aside from playing very similarly. The gameplay is the exact same. The story's totally different. Doesn't involve any of the characters, or I don't think it even loosely connects with Ring of Fates. So that's also disappointing. And then a third disappointing thing. Wow, really negative start. I try not to do this, but man, something hit me when you start this game. It asks you to create your own character. You can choose from one of the four classes: the Clavat, the Ukes, the Selkie. In the fourth one, I don't remember. I named myself Chabinka in honor of one of my favorite names in Final Fantasy, Chalinka from the Ring of Fates game. Now, why was character customization a disappointment? Well, if you've watched this series, you know we've gone down this road a few times. You know that when you create a character, the story is going to suffer, especially when compared to the game that came last, which was a linear story with twists and turns and memorable characters. You're not going to get memorable characters. You're barely going to participate in a story where your character is a customizable one because they don't have an identity. They can't create cutscenes that involve every type of character that a player creates. And yes, in this game, you are essentially a no-name, just following instructions of everybody and not really being involved in the story outside of that. It's not really about you, it's about this other girl who you don't even really learn about until like the end. Jeez, I'm being negative. Why all of this? Why is it this way? It seems like such a difference compared to the first Ring of Fates game that this is allegedly a sequel to. That's simply because of the focus. They wanted this game to be a multiplayer game. It's the first online multiplayer game. And that is kind of all that matters. A person on the Wii can go online, play with a guy on DS, and they can run through this adventure together. The story, objectively not as involved as Ring of Fates. The gameplay, dialed back a little bit. A little more generic, because you can pick any character you want, and now levels can't be entirely based around one character, because if you didn't pick that character, it wouldn't have worked, so now all the levels are a little bit more generic. But the game otherwise still plays the exact same as Ring of Fates, with a couple of improvements. Let's talk about those. So the biggest thing is in Ring of Fates, when you collect an orb, that's like one use of that type of magic. So if you have 9 fire orbs, you can use fire 9 times. In this game, they're like, forget that. Forget the orbs. You can just you have a magic bar, an MP bar, and you can use any of the magic as much as you want until you refill that bar again. That's great, I like that change. There's a whole quest system now. You can find quests by talking to people. Even reading signs will like put a quest in the quest list, which you can go in the middle of the town, talk to a guy and gain a quest, and there's a whole slew of side quests you can do. So there's a bunch of added value to like additional gameplay stuff you can do on the side. They added swimming to the game. Jumping in water in Ring of Fates is certain death, and in this game you can swim, you can dive. There's even entire levels based around changing water level. Oh, we love that, don't we? And finally, you can build a party however you choose. So your character is customizable, but you can also have 3 other characters meant to be your friends, but like it's 2023, this game is how old? Obviously. I mean, there's not even online services for this game, even if you play it on the Wii or the DS. You can't. No multiplayer, but you can go to the guild area and get yourself a party of your choice. I chose to fill my party out with 1 of each class because that made sense to me, and that's how Ring of Fates worked, so I just did that. But you can talk to other NPCs around town, and they'll potentially join you. There's this one guy I talked to, and he was like, I only work with very hard warriors. I was like, what do you mean by that? And he meant that playing on very hard difficulty is the only way you'll unlock this party member. Maybe he's like super strong or something, I wouldn't have known. There's another guy who talks to you who's like, talk to me when you have a couple more gameplay hours. I only play with gamers who sink a lot of hours into this game. And I was like, all right, being a very meta here, but I guess I'll talk to you later. I didn't recruit any special characters. I had my party from day 1. They followed me to the end and they were great. But the problem is, yes, I had 1 of each class. That rarely mattered. In Ring of Fates, each class has special abilities that really change how you play, and it also comes in handy specifically for certain puzzles, and entire levels are based around how these characters work, and you can switch between them and stuff. But again, the multiplayer, streamline, customizable character part of this game means that those abilities are kind of just gone now. The Uke still has his throwable attack. The other guys have the same like sword attack as the normal warrior class. The other guys' special abilities are gone, except for the double jump guy. The double jump guy can still double jump, and you can still break the game by getting around to places early and stuff. That's very fun. I'm glad that was kept, but everything else is gone. Everything else is just a little bit more generic. There's this one part of the game where it's like a flat line, and I unlock a thing that spawns a platform way over there, like across a massive gap, and I couldn't get to it. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this room. But I noticed the actual door to the way out was a shorter gap that way. So what I did was I got on like a platform, put one character like that, another character like that, and jumped on top of him, and then double jumped and made it across that gap. Like, you can do stuff like that with a double jump. I love it. But yeah, otherwise there's like nothing else to say. If you saw the Ring of Fates review, This game still has all those improvements from the very first Crystal Chronicles. It still plays a lot better, but compared to Ring of Fates, it actually plays worse in my opinion. Some quality of life improvements, but at the cost of characters just being less unique. A little disappointing. But okay, I did love the gameplay of Ring of Fates. But the thing that really surprised me was the story. The totally off-the-wall, crazy sci-fi, time travel, multiverse story we got in Ring of Fates. What's the story in this game? You're a boy from a forest of people who never leave the forest for some reason, you don't know yet. A girl gets sick and you have to leave the forest to find a potion to do it. Because you don't know what else to do, you leave. You go to the library in town and you meet a German man who is not evil. I don't want to be racist towards German people, but when you're the only German in the movie and you wear a black hat, dude, you're evil, man. So the German guy's smart and he said, oh, I'll get you the potion. I know how to do it. You need to bring me this. And then you do that. And he goes like, there's the potion. Bring it to her and you come back and you'll repay the favor. I'm just a German. I'm not evil. You do it, you heal the girl, you come back and goes like, well, here is the favor for you. You must climb the mountains and you close the special artifact up there and then you come back. That's German. Then you come back and he's like, Vahaha, that's what I needed to awaken my true power, and I'm an evil guy. And then he's evil and he attacks you, and oh no, I can't believe he was evil. So he opens this gate of evil because of that stuff, and it breaks the core crystal. Now the core crystal was the main crystal of the forest, and like the last remaining crystal of the world, it's very important. It can't be broken, but it gets broken by this gate. And your cat girl mom, she starts to suffer because of that crystal being broken, and she's like connected to the crystal, and what's up with that? So now at this point, you kill the old man immediately. You go to the library and you kill him. It's a boss fight, and he dies. But when he dies, he was like, it's been a very long time since I last died. Oh my god, the German guy's immortal! No! And he disappears, and he's like, well, the German guy's immortal, we gotta find a way to kill him, we gotta repair the crystal, the cat girl mom needs to be healed also, and the majority of the game is just going around the world and collecting the crystals. You do that. Like, 10 hours later, you go back to the forest, and you heal the crystal, and you find out that everybody in the forest was actually dead the whole time. They have existed for thousands of years, and that's why they were kind of bound to this place as a graveyard, including cat girl mom, who is not actually your mom. She just found you in the forest. She used to be actually a cat. I don't know how she became human. That's like very not explained, and it bothers me. But it's fine because the cat girl mom is also immortal, because she's like the person who creates crystals. She's the last of a group of people who had power to create crystals. And she's also immortal, so it's all good. You got your immortal cat girl fighting the immortal German man. It's classic Final Fantasy. And your goal at this point, it's endgame now. You gotta climb the tower, find the German man, and end his life for good. You get to the top, and cat girl reveals to you a secret. She says, the only way to do this, you gotta kill me. You have to kill me. The crystals are the source of his power. I create the crystals. You gotta kill me. And then both of our immortal souls will be gone, and everything will be good, everything will be back to normal. And basically you do that, and the crystal breaks, and the core crystal is destroyed, and the German man gets evaporated, and the cat girl turns into a normal cat. Everything's good, you go back to the forest, you go up to where the core crystal was, it's empty, you take out one crystal that cat girl gave you long ago, and you toss it in. Credits. Bruh. I don't know about that one. And after the credits, if you do choose to return to where the crystal was, you can see a new crystal growing. And that's the end of that one. Wow. Are we at the conclusion already? Jeez. Was it me or is that fast? Look, I may have explained that story section very sporadically, but the story's really not crazy. The weirdest thing about it is the cat girl thing. I don't know what's going on with that. Also, the fact that there's just a straight up stereotype German man villain character. I don't know why. There's never been nationality in Final Fantasy ever, usually. Most of the time they're Japanese kind of, but there's just a straight up German. He's the villain from Indiana Jones is just in a Final Fantasy game. Other than that, it's kind of just a JRPG story. Guy wants the crystal power thing. A girl can create the crystals of power things. Collect the crystal of power things. Kill the bad guy. That's all. There's not even really other important characters aside from those two. Because you aren't an important character, you're just kind of an observer. Ring of Fates did all the crazy sci-fi stuff and still told a surprisingly emotionally investing story. This game just kind of disappointed me. I mean, spoiler alert, I kind of just said it at the beginning, but there was so much to be disappointed by. The story was held back. You don't play as a named character. The focus was on multiplayer. The level design is less interesting now because of that. At the end of the day, it still has about the same level of cool 3D platforming action RPG stuff that Ring of Fates had. So in some ways it plays better than the first game still, the original Crystal Chronicles. So I'm not going to say it's the worst Crystal Chronicles game, but man, it doesn't live up to that Ring of Fates. At least My Life as a King being a sequel to the first Crystal Chronicles, at least that is somewhat connected via a plot device. Echoes of Time has nothing about Ring of Fates in it or the first game. It doesn't feel connected to Crystal Chronicles at all. Aside from crystals, which the lore of the crystals doesn't even really come into play. It totally feels different in this than the other games. I don't know what was going on. Calling this a sequel to Ring of Fates, it's just that the gameplay is similar, that's it. It's like if you said Final Fantasy 1 and 2 are part of the same story. It's oh really, where are all the characters from the first game? Oh, somewhere else. Oh really, why is the world completely different? I don't know, there's another world. It's why even say they're sequels? It's just call them different things at that point, right? That's what they did. I don't want to be overly negative. This was still a fun game. It still has the cool puzzle platforming that the first game had. I keep saying the first game, and what I mean is Ring of Fates, the second game. The gameplay is still better than that first Crystal Chronicles, I will admit that. But what put Ring of Fates over the edge and made me think it was better than the first game was that story, and this does not have that. So I don't think it's better than the original Crystal Chronicles. But it's still fun to play, still has quick and easy dungeons, still has fun combat. You can still pick people up and bash them against the wall and stuff, it still has that. It's a short game, short and sweet, I like that. It's still good, but man was it overhyped. And I feel like I'm probably the only person on the planet who had this game overhyped to them, because who even knows what this game is anymore? But it's simply because I had that great experience with Ring of Fates, heard this was a sequel, and had to wait 10 games in between before I finally got to play it, and then it was just so not as good. And that's the end of my spiel. That all being said, I would love to play more of Crystal Chronicles games in this style. Unfortunately, there aren't any. They did Ring of Fates, they did Echoes of Time, and that was the end for this style. There are still more Crystal Chronicles games though. The rest of the Crystal Chronicles games are different, much different. I'm quite interested to see how they go, because next week we continue Crystal Chronicles month some more, and we're returning, we are going back to the dark, dark world of the Wii Shop channel.